Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the March 2025 System Business and Finance meeting. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ginger Velasquez, and I'm the Executive Director for Business and Finance. And before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. You have all been placed on mute, so please type any questions that you may have into the chat box. And keep in mind, those questions go to everyone. We do have a team that's reviewing the questions as they come in, and we'll try to get to all of them. But if we have any time constraints, we'll be sure to review any unanswered questions after the meeting ends and follow up on those, of course. Also, we will again be recording our meetings and emailing each of you a link to the recording. So if you have questions that come up afterwards, and you need to review a segment of the meeting, or if you need to get presenter contact information, you will have all of that as well. And finally, always feel free to reach out to myself or my staff, Stacy Ballness or Bernadette Rossmore, whenever you have questions, comments, or ideas. We are all here to serve you and assist in resolving your issues, and you will find our contact information on the last slide of the presentation. So of course you can reference that at any time. As far as the agenda, we have a full schedule today. We will start with an update from procurement services, followed by a source to pay update, an overview of Anthony Travel, a discussion with Baker Logistics, PIPL overview, some business and finance policy updates, and finally, a presentation from the Office of Procurement Diversity. Before we dive into our agenda, I have just one quick reminder to begin with today. Last month, a communication was distributed announcing that Chrome River was rebranded to Embers Enterprise. And although the product itself didn't change, I wanted to mention this because we have received a few inquiries from some of you about not being able to find the Chrome River application in the drop-down menu on the Business and Finance website. So Bernadette, next slide, please. Given the inquiries that we received, on Monday of this week, a change was made to the drop-down menu to add, and it's circled there in red. Hopefully you can see that, formerly Chrome River. So hopefully that language will make this more easily identifiable. But if any additional questions come up, of course, please submit a service request form to University Payables. And that was the only announcement I had for today. So I will now turn things over to Aaron Carter and Danielle Green with updates from Procurement Services.
Hello, good afternoon. Days flying by. I'll keep this short and simple and to the point today. I know we have a jam-packed agenda with some of our units that are going to be presenting as well. A few quick updates. In January, we went live with the Apple VSI CDWG partnership, which involves purchasing Apple products through the diverse supplier. So there is a live active catalog now. We're receiving orders regularly. If you have any, I've dealt with a couple of end users on every campus, kind of clarifying some questions. The way that we account for Apple products through the school manager will remain the same. And orders for departments can still be placed through the iBuy catalog, so that will continue. And then lastly, Apple will be coordinating a informational session for UIC and UIS upcoming. We're in the early initial discussions for that, so there'll be more to follow about that. If you have questions on how to order Apple products, if you search Business and Finance News, there was an announcement that went out about it. And there are also job aids on the job aid page for iBuy that you can utilize to place orders through that contract. Upcoming, we're going to be working with the policy group to review all of the purchasing policies. I don't have the entire timeline, but it will be a group effort for all policies. We're trying to be respectful of year end, so you're likely to see some things start moving closer to the new fiscal year. So keep your eye out on that. And that's all I have to share with the group for today. So I will give it back to you, Ginger. Thank you for your time, Ginger.
Yeah. Thanks, Danielle. We appreciate the updates. Next up, we have Carrie Canaday, Angela Benzel, and Melissa Faulkner with an update on digital mailroom.
Thanks, Ginger. Just wanted to give a quick update on where we're at with the Source to Pay digital mailroom project. We are currently finishing up testing. We did decide to add a couple more rounds of testing, specifically for production readiness testing. We did that probably the end of February, and so we just completed our first round and we are starting our second round, and we are still targeting May 15th, 2025 for our go live date. And so with more information about what you need to do or be aware of for go live and important information specifically for digital mailroom, Angela Benzel's here with us and is going to talk more about that.
Great, thanks, Carrie. If you don't mind, go ahead and sharing the PowerPoint presentation. I would appreciate that. But as Carrie said, we are moving forward with the digital mailroom in iBuy. Hopefully you have heard about this. If not, very quickly, just to let you know, what we plan on doing, like Carrie said, in mid-May, is transitioning our invoices that are currently processed in Banner and BDM so that those invoices flow into iBuy and are processed in iBuy. We're going to be doing this in a phased approach. We're not, we have tens of thousands of vendors that we do business with here at the university. So we're going to gradually load all of those vendors and their invoices into iBuy. And let me see if I can, looks like we're having a problem with sharing.
Sorry, Angela, I think I can get it. Give me just 1 second.
Okay. Does that help? Can everybody see my screen?
You can see your email.
Oh, my email. That's not good. No one wants to see that. How about that? Is that better?
That is.
Okay, very good. All right, so like we're sharing our screen. Here we go. So currently, all of the non-catalog vendor invoices that the university receives, the vast majority of those are processed in Banner and BDM. The image loads into BDM, we process that payment in Banner, and the payment issues from Banner. So the main difference that's going to happen with the digital mailroom is that those invoices are now going to load into iBuy instead. So you're going to see the digital invoice information in iBuy. You're going to see the PDF attachment of that invoice in iBuy, and all of our processing will happen in iBuy. And once that invoice is approved, then it will export to Banner, and same as always, payment will issue out of Banner. So we are working with the digital mailroom vendor to make that switch. So for you, the university, the main difference is going to be you looking at your invoices in a different system. For the vendor, it's going to be business as usual. All of the iBuy POs indicate to the vendor that their invoices should be emailed to the UPay vendor invoices email box, and that will continue. Vendors should email their invoices to that address. That PDF document will then be processed by our vendor partner, who will get that image into iBuy. One of the big advantages also for payables and for the university is that improved transparency and the ability to see a clear workflow of that invoice in iBuy. iBuy has a history tab, which you can clearly see the steps that were taken on an iBuy invoice. It has a comments tab, which allows us to add comments and send emails about those invoices directly out of iBuy. And all of that creates a very clear paper trail regarding any invoice or credit memo transactions that we're going to be processing in iBuy. So next slide, please. If you are not familiar with iBuy invoicing, right now, the majority of invoices that are in iBuy are based on those catalogs, like what Danielle was talking about earlier with the CDW, Apple VSI catalog, for example. Those invoices are all processed in iBuy. iBuy invoices begin with the prefix IN, whereas an invoice that's processed in Banner begins with the letter I. So that's another indicator that that document has been processed in iBuy. And I mentioned earlier about the comments tab. So if an invoice flows into iBuy and perhaps there's an issue with it, like what we would see in Banner and BDM, maybe there's an issue with freight, or maybe the invoice is over tolerant, there isn't enough money on the PO, whatever the case may be, we will be using that comments tab on the iBuy invoice to directly reach out to the PO requester, the financial manager, even purchasing if necessary, to get some resolution on that invoice. So where now you're seeing automated emails that are sent out for those issues, in the future you're going to see iBuy emails that will provide direction and instruction on how to move forward with that invoice issue that we're seeing. And I'll also let you know that, again, if you're not familiar with iBuy invoicing, we do have a job aid out on the BizFin website. So in the training documents for iBuy, it's called How to Find an Invoice in iBuy, I think is what it's called. So feel free to take a look at that job aid and so you can better familiarize yourself with iBuy invoicing. So as I mentioned before, those invoices are going to be processed in iBuy. All of the image, the PDF, all of that will be housed in iBuy and not in BDM anymore, as those waves of vendors are enrolled and their invoices are pushed into iBuy. But all of the information will still export to Banner. Banner is still our system of record. Payment will issue out of Banner. You'll be able to see statuses, payment information in Banner. But even in iBuy, you will be able to see the status of an invoice and even its payment status. You'll be able to see when that payment issued, ACH, check, e-payables, that will be right on the iBuy invoice in the payment information section of the invoice. We have a very robust and well-tested iBuy invoice workflow that we use right now for our catalog vendors, and that is going to continue. We're going to continue to use that workflow for the non-catalog invoices that are going to be going into iBuy. So we're going to be able to ensure timely and accurate payments to our vendors. And there is a category, a field on an iBuy invoice letting you know the source of that invoice, how it was loaded, how it got into iBuy. And for those invoices that go through the digital mailroom, that source is going to say digital mailroom import. Right now, for example, if an invoice is related to a catalog order, I believe it says electronic invoice. If an invoice comes through the supplier portal, it'll say supplier portal. But for the digital mailroom invoices, it will list that as the source. I see in the comments we have a question, how would the new receiving process look like? So hopefully we're going to give you some relief in that area, Alex. Right now, there is no receiving in iBuy like there is receiving in Banner. However, what we do have in iBuy is a workflow step so that if an invoice is $50,000 or more, that it will route to your department's invoice acknowledger. And that individual will have an opportunity to review and approve that invoice before it exports to Banner. And then once it exports to Banner, it will export in approved status. Receiving won't be required in Banner. So I know a lot of folks do not like Banner receiving, and I will admit it is difficult at times to go through. So that is one advantage, one of the many advantages that we have with the iBuy invoicing, is hopefully we can get out of that Banner receiving step. That is what I have to share with everyone today. But if you have any questions, like Ginger said earlier, please send us an email, include something in the chat, and we will get back to you with some answers. So thank you, everyone.
And it does look like, Angela, there's one more comment. Okay.
Sure. So can we upload the invoice received from the vendor? No, the department is not able to upload that invoice directly to the digital mailroom or directly into iBuy. So you will need to send those invoices to the email address, the UPay vendor invoices email address. Good question.
I think one more for you, Angela.
Why are we paying? Okay, so currently, Erin, we do work with a third party that does scan and index our documents. So we have our invoice processing center in Rantoul, who receives the PDF images of our invoices and credit memos. They scan and send those images in that indexing file to us, which loads into BDM. So we do use a third party for that, that we receive approximately 900 to 1,500 invoices a day. So that would be quite a load on the payable staff to do that scanning ourselves. So we do use that third party, and we will continue to use a third party for the scanning and so that the invoices can load into iBuy.
Okay, anything else? Okay, well, thank you, Carrie and Angela, and Melissa, thanks for sharing your screen and presenting as well. But good, very good, important updates. So thank you very much.
It looks like there is one more comment, Ginger, if you don't mind me answering. Will notifications be sent when a comment is added? Yes, they will. So when we add a comment to an iBuy invoice, especially if we need some feedback from the unit or purchasing, that comment will also generate an email that will be sent to the individual. So yes, you will receive email notifications. You might want to check your iBuy profile, make sure that your profile allows you to receive those email notifications. But yes, we will be sending those. All right, I'll be quiet now. Thanks, Ginger.
No, thanks, Angela. I'm glad you saw that last chat because I was moving on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, yeah. Next, we are going to hear from Kathy Young and Matt Bloom regarding Anthony Travel. Kathy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ginger. Matt is actually not joining me today. He is in Chicago, working on our hotel program that I will be discussing here in just a moment. But I am Kathy Young from the University Payables Travel Management Office, and I am here to review the systems transition to a new travel management company, Anthony Travel. You can move to the next slide, please. So Anthony Travel is an IPEC awarded vendor. We transitioned in January of this year, and they are a full service agency, and we have agents dedicated to University of Illinois travel only. So they are available to assist units for group travel, multi-leg international travel, or if someone just wants to work with an agent on a domestic trip. Travel is an ever-changing industry, and having an engaged and attentive travel partner is especially important now with the recent restrictions that have been imposed. Our dedicated agents will remind our domestic travelers about the Real ID requirements by May 7th for everyone to be Real ID ready if you're going to be traveling domestically. The changes that are coming with Southwest Airlines for our Southwest travelers, they'll advise our European and UK travelers of the new restrictions that are in place now for 25 and those that are coming for 26. And they'll advise and assist all of our international travelers about passport and visa requirements. They'll also steer our employees away from booking the highly restricted basic economy airfares, which the university does not require and we do not recommend. So Anthony Travel also administers our iTravel online booking tool, and I provided a link to the iTravel resource page. You'll find information, contact information to Anthony Travel, as well as the launch link to get into the system. There are job aids, an after-hours emergency number, and a travel request form for those employees who prefer to work with an agent by email. Anthony Travel and I also provide monthly training sessions on the booking tool, and we show employees how to complete their iTravel profile and how to make travel arrangements for themselves or for other employees, for guests to the university. And my contact information is also listed on the page in case for those travel arrangers who need those permissions and for login issues. And I appreciate the comment, Sandra. Thank you. They have been a lot faster to respond than the previous agency. Yes, I have experienced that as well. So thank you for noticing. So next, I'm going to move into our program, dedicated hotel program. This is a new program that came with Anthony Travel, along with our dedicated program manager, Matt Bloom, who is currently in Chicago, working though, not visiting family or anything. He is a Chicago-raised University of Illinois alumni. And his contact information is right there if you'd like to share it. It's also posted on the Business and Finance website. So they do offer a managed hotel program that Anthony Travel will source, negotiate, and contract for guest room blocks of 10 or more rooms. They'll also work with meeting space, both domestically and internationally. And a lot of times hotels will waive meeting room rental fees when a food and beverage minimum is met. And Anthony Travel can assist with the catering portion of hotel contracts as well. I provided a link to the event questionnaire that units can complete, as well as information on the hotel program process. This information is also posted on the Business and Finance website. And actually, what I wanted to mention was that for the system to really benefit from this program, it's really important for units to reach out to Matt before the programs are started. So reach out to him early. So I'd like to ask any purchasing contacts on this call. If you have unit contacts that you work with on a regular basis on programs that are at hotels, if you could share their information with me or forward it to Matt so that he can reach out to them and have a one-on-one conversation, let them know about the program and how he can assist and kind of alleviate a lot of the legwork on the hotel sourcing, the contract negotiations, etc. Once all of that is taken care of, once the contract is signed by Anthony Travel, then it's turned over back to the unit to work on the logistics of the event directly with the hotel. And then Anthony Travel will step back in again at the end and take care of the payment. So this whole process is between the units and Anthony Travel. So hopefully the units will see a benefit there. He's already working with quite a few, so I believe they are seeing it. So it's progressing nicely. So lastly, Matt is also developing a preferred hotel program to provide negotiated rates with individual rooms of 9 or less per night. He is actually, as I mentioned, in Chicago. He's meeting with hotels for inclusion into this program. And then he will move on to Springfield, and then he'll wrap up here at Urbana-Champaign at the end of the week. He has already secured discounted rates with multiple hotels in Chicago and Urbana-Champaign. And he has several more in the works for all of the universities. Shared Services is working on creating a page to provide this information on the business and finance website. And that's all I have right now. Kind of short and sweet. Here is my contact information if units prefer to reach out to me. If they have any questions about any of the services or programs that Anthony Travel provides, I am happy to answer their questions and get them in touch with the appropriate Anthony Travel contact. Thank you.
I don't see anything in the chat yet, Kathy, but if something comes up, we'll make sure to forward that question to you. So thank you for that good presentation. We appreciate the information.
Thank you.
And now, let's see, we are going to hear about Baker Logistics Consulting Services from Lauren Patelli, the principal of Baker Logistics Consulting.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my PowerPoint slides?
We do not,
Okay,
at least I don't.
Okay, let's see here. Why not? 1 second.
I think your camera is off, Lauren.
Well, I don't know if, okay, well, that's a separate issue. We got to work on the first one. Okay, first we share. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Great. So, and let me turn my camera on so you can at least see me. There we go. So, thank you for inviting us to speak. My name is Lauren Patelli. I'm the owner of Baker Logistics Consulting Services. We are the university's customs broker. So we are the people who clear your imported goods through U.S. Customs and all the other governmental agencies. And we wanted to meet with you today to talk about what's the import process, and also to provide a trade and tariff update. Since President Trump has been in office, there have been a lot of changes that have important impacts for the university, and we want to make sure that everybody has information on this. My colleague Jackie Russo is on the call with me, and she will be monitoring the chat box. So when questions come up or something is unclear, please put a note in the chat box and Jackie will respond for you. So what am I going to cover today? We have only a half an hour. I want to quickly give you an introduction to our services and talk about the import process, update you all on some tariff and trade changes, and then talk about how you can help the university keep costs contained. So, where do we see your role where you can bring the most benefit to the university? And then we'll talk about some strategies to minimize costs that have really escalated for people. Just one slide on our company. We're Chicago based. I and Jackie are in the suburbs. We're a small company. Everybody who works here is very experienced in the industry. And as a company, we pride ourselves on personal attention to customers such as the university and having a high level of expertise. And if you come away from this short presentation with one thought, I want the one thought to be, hey, I can reach out when I have a question. I'm not sure. So please remember that we are accessible and we want to hear from you. We entered our relationship with the university as a result of an IPHEC RFP that was launched last year. And so the services that we are contracted for include the customs clearance services, but also classifying items in advance, providing duty rate analyses, advising you on any duty-free entry provisions that could be applicable for your items. We coordinate transportation, we track and trace all the shipments we're responsible for, and we build the university based on the contracted rates from the RFQ. So I thought it would be helpful to go over the current process that we follow for imports that are going to Champaign and Urbana. We have the most activity from those campuses, and we have a pretty well-defined process that I thought would be helpful to review with everyone. As of today, steps 1 through 4, we're not doing with UIC, but we understand from our contacts that perhaps this process will be amended in Chicago and Springfield campuses shortly. So our current process with Champaign and Urbana is the department decides to buy something. They interact with procurement, and procurement issues a purchase order and sends out the vendor overseas a PO acknowledgement email. We're copied in on that email, and also, the business partner in the department that's ordered the items is copied in. So that's a really important trigger for us. That's the first time we know of a shipment. We keep all of those PO copies and we keep an eye on the incoming shipments. And it also tells us, who's going to be our partner on the transaction, which department ordered the item and who is the person there. When we get that email, we say, we send a message to the vendor by hitting reply all that provides a standard set of documentation and shipping instructions. For example, we tell them how their commercial invoice should look. If it's a small parcel shipment, what service level they should select and which carrier we recommend. And we also require that the vendor pre-notify us of all shipping details. So it gives the vendor the opportunity to ask us questions and to communicate with us. And again, it's just designed to facilitate the transaction. The vendor gets ready to ship, and he emails us in advance copies of his shipping documents for review. We'll look at the documentation. If there's anything missing or anything that needs to be changed, we go back to the vendor requesting that, and the cargo ships. Most of the university's product that we see comes in via Federal Express. And we have on file with Federal Express what they call a broker select option. And it tells Federal Express that when a shipment comes in for the university, that the university's broker is Baker, and they turn the documents over to us. We then open our file. If we never got a copy of the PO email, we do some investigating before we commence work. So we'll reach out to whoever is listed as the receiver of the shipment, asking for clearance instructions. The reason why we do that is if we don't know that the university actually ordered it from overseas, we don't want to clear something through customs when, for example, you've ordered it from Fisher Scientific and really they should pay for those charges. So we try to always reach out to get a green light before proceeding on the work if we don't have a PO copy. Now, in the case of cargo for UIC, we don't know about a shipment currently until the shipment has arrived. So that's not applicable in that case. For UIC right now, we are contacting every consignee on every transaction to say, hey, did you buy this from overseas? Do you realize it needs to be customs cleared? Is customs clearance for the account of your department? We then clear the goods. Typically, we get releases within a half an hour of when the entry is filed. So it's a quick process once we have the correct information and documentation. We notify the carrier that the shipment is cleared, and then they'll typically deliver it the next day. The last step in the process is billing. So our instructions from the procurement team are that the department that ordered the merchandise is the department that's responsible for the charges. And furthermore, we're specified to accept payment via P-card. So once a shipment has been delivered, we'll generate an invoice and we send it out via email to the contact that we have asking for payment via P-card. And we'll enclose a link to our credit card processing company, which is called Bridge Payment. One of the asks we would have is if you are contacted by myself, Jackie, or another individual at Baker, either asking for a green light to clear a shipment, confirmation that, hey, you ordered it, we should do the work, or if we reach out for invoicing after the shipment has cleared, we would appreciate really a prompt response one way or the other. With so many university departments, we are probably currently doing work for at least 50 entities or business units at the university, and we're probably dealing with over 100 contacts. So if we can minimize repeat messages back and forth, that would really be a huge help to us in performing our work and focusing on what we want to focus, which is providing excellent service to the university. So we do have some concerns with the current process that UIC is following, where we only find out about a shipment once it's arrived. So I wanted to bring those to your attention. So the first and foremost is it's a shifting trade environment. Costs are escalating rapidly. And if we know about a shipment in advance, we can give you cost estimates. We could assist you in looking if there are special arrangements that can be made, special classification provisions to control costs, alternatives to review. So right now, we're not able to do that because we don't know. So if you are importing something high value or thinking of importing something high value, expensive for your situation, your budget, please do reach out to us. We can tell you what the costs will be in advance, and we can assist you in, evaluating whether a certain purchase fits with your budget. Some of the items that we're seeing come in are extremely high value. And one of the things that we are proud to provide to the university is that we do track and trace your shipments. 2 weeks ago, Federal Express notified us that they had 5 small parcels worth $500,000 that were for the University of Illinois. And we were not aware of the shipment. We weren't tracking it. And it just would be, it's prudent to let people know when you have high value goods coming in so that we can keep an eye on the transaction. 99.9% of small parcel shipments work great. No problem whatsoever. But that 0.1%, when it goes wrong, is really hard to rectify. So if there is going to be a situation, we want to know about it and be actively working it to get it resolved to the university's benefit. Another area of a little bit concern that we wanted to highlight for people is that In the current process with Champagne, we have a purchase order copy, or rather a PO acknowledgement, and it states what the university is importing and how much it's going to be paying for the item. This allows us to match that with the documentation provided by the supplier to make sure that the documentation is accurate. People have a tendency to sometimes try to skirt the regulations in order to facilitate a transaction. And we have found, as the duty rates have gone up and up and up, that some suppliers are artificially, stating something worth $5,000 is worth $10. So, if we know about a shipment in advance, we're able to check and make sure that the documentation is accurate. And that's important because in a time when importing is under a lot of scrutiny and higher education is under a lot of scrutiny, we do want to make sure that everything that we send to the government is accurate. And then lastly, we want to make sure that we are contacting the right people for the work authorization and for the payment of Baker invoices. So, again, if you can reach out to us and let us know about your transactions in advance, then we'll know, that you are the person and your department is the person that needs the assistance. I've mentioned that there have been a lot of tariff and trade changes, and I would say that, the biggest problem with that is that there's been a lack of notice, right? So you have, as a university, a lot of POs that are open where the departments have probably budgeted for a certain amount of expense, and with no notice whatsoever, now costs have changed quite a bit. So I wanted to update you on the changes that are in effect today so that you can at least think about this and maybe alert people within the department about some unanticipated costs. Everything that comes in has a duty assessment on it. Let's call that the regular or the ordinary duty. And that could be 0, or it could be, 5, 10%. But that's the baseline, an ordinary duty rate. On top of that, though, we now have additional charges that were never there in the past. So in the first Trump presidency, he put in place what are called Section 301 duties. These were designed to punish China for unfair trade practices. Most items that come from China have a Section 301 duty assessed against them on top of the ordinary duty rate. And that Section 301 duty could be 7.5%, it could be 25%, or for certain items like solar panels now, it's 100% of the value. I would say the average item imported today from China is taking the 25% Section 301 duty. That's the most common. On top of that, we now have Trump's second president, and he has put in place on additional duties. So those are called IEEPA duties. Those are the duties that were put in place with no notice, supposedly to combat the fentanyl crisis. So that's another 20% that's levied on goods from China. Goods from Canada and Mexico currently have a 25% duty on them if it is cargo that does not qualify under the Free Trade Act. If the item currently qualifies under the USMCA trade agreement, then the item is still exempt from the IEEPA duties. That will probably change. We don't know how. April 2nd. In addition to the Section 301 and the IEEPA duties, we have Section 232 duties that apply to steel and aluminum articles. And this also is new with the second Trump administration. So steel and aluminum articles take a duty rate of 25%. But more problematic for the university is that items made of steel or aluminum are often impacted as well. And the item that's being imported will take the ordinary duty rate of the commodity, but then the steel or aluminum content will have an additional levy of 25% based on the value of the content of the steel or aluminum that's in the item. We know that more is coming. We just don't know exactly the details. Copper has been floated, timber, computer chips, pharmaceutical, reciprocal tariffs. I think one thing that we all learned during the first administration of President Trump was that the situation when it comes to trade is volatile. We will put out trade alerts when changes happen. But I think the most important thing to remember in terms of, future outlook is that it's going to be a very fluid situation. And you may have shipments that you've ordered based on a certain cost estimate, and by the time they arrive, the situation has changed. So, just kind of wrapping up this section on tariff and trade changes. Each tariff is separately calculated. So an item could be duty free, but then may require one or several of the other additional types of duty. When I look at the activity of the university today, the main cost risk in dollar amount is on your imports from Canada, because the Canadian items that are purchased typically are higher value, more sophisticated product. The main risk as a percentage of value is the Chinese goods. Some of you may be familiar with the term de minimis. That's a provision that has fostered growth in internet sales, allowing small items to come in duty free. That provision will be severely curtailed. There was already a presidential proclamation putting most of de minimis on hold, but after 2 or 3 days of chaos in China, particularly, the proclamation was rescinded and put on hold. Or actually, it wasn't rescinded, it was put on hold. So we have no date when that proclamation will be put back in force, but we anticipate that it's going to be severely curtailed, because not only do we have the presidential proclamation, but both Democrats and Republicans have potential legislation out there to curtail de minimis. And then lastly, I just want to remind people, you may have seen in the paper that President Trump is threatening reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd. So that timing is next week, and there's a potential impact on your purchases from Europe. Here's an example quickly of semiconductor imports. In this example, which is based on a actual university shipment, the professor ordered semiconductor, freight prepay and add. The classification, which is HTSUS, is the abbreviation for the Harmonized Tariff Schedule of the United States, or the classification. So the classification for semiconductors is duty free, but semiconductors take the 25% Section 301 duty. They take the 20% IEEPA because they come from China. So in this case, the $800 item came up with a total cost of $1,245. So that's a huge increase that I don't think the department was anticipating, and we wanted to bring this up to your attention. When you're reviewing offers, there's a few things that I think we want to bring to your attention. So one thing is that you want to know where you're buying from. Some of these purchases, it's not clear whether it's a U.S. purchase or if you're buying imported goods from a domestic source. if you're buying a foreign made item domestically, you want to clarify what is and what isn't built into the pricing that's offered. And if you're buying domestically, you may find that custom items in particular may have cost escalation or force majeure clauses in them because the manufacturer is building the product with imported components, for example, or needs aluminum and steel. And so they're worried about their costs and they want to try to pass them on to you as the end consumer of the item. So that's something to look at and, read the fine print. If you are going to be importing, you want to ensure that your purchase order clearly shows the Incoterms. So what you want to specify is DAP, Chicago or Springfield, or wherever the point is that you want the item delivered to. That term means that the supplier delivers to the university, but that the university remains in control of customs clearance and duty payment. Again, if you're importing, you want to make sure that the country of origin of the goods is indicated. Big difference if something's coming from Vietnam versus coming from China in terms of your bottom line. So, that's an important thing to have clarified up front. And lastly, you want to consider your duty cost when you're comparing a vendor offer to another vendor offer. I have an example here of a quote that was given to one of the departments in Champaign. We have their permission to show it. And I just wanted to kind of point out a few of the things that perked their attention that you might see as well when you are purchasing items. So the things you want to look for would be inconsistencies. In this case, the department needs air conditioners. They got a proposal from a company in Peoria. So you would think domestic air conditioner. And it says here, freight terms, Ex Works. So one would think Ex Works Peoria. But when you look at the first page of the offer, you see a quoted price, you see a freight and handling charge, and then you see a total quoted price. So when I look at this, I say to myself, because I have an international background, that's always my focus, like, oh, it's a delivered at place shipment from overseas. And yet it says Ex Works over here. There's a conflict. Something should be clarified with this supplier. And then another thing you notice is that it says down here, oh, above price does not include future tariffs. Well, that implies the product is indeed imported. So where's it imported from? What's my cost? And then it says price doesn't include future tariffs. Well, what's included? What do they consider the current tariffs versus the future tariffs? So that would be something to consider, and to clarify with the vendor. And then the offer gets even more complicated because if you look here under raw materials and tariff impacts, they're saying if their cost of goods goes up by at least 5%, that the university will have to pay for that cost escalation. So all in all, this is an offer that, may be good. That's not for me to say, but it has a lot of inconsistencies and requires clarification before you pull the trigger on the purchase. You would really want to know what is your bottom line cost going to be, what's included, what's not included, and try to negotiate out some of these onerous provisions like this cost escalation provision. At the end of the day, you guys are a great customer, and when you're making a big purchase, you do have negotiating power with your suppliers. Some strategies that you can use to minimize cost, communicate with us before you're making a purchase decision. We can assist you, as I mentioned, with cost estimates, classification, and any requirements that you need to know of when you're importing. It's not just a matter of customs. We have to clear imported goods through EPA, Food and Drug, FCC, USDA, APHIS. All these other governmental agencies regulate imported products just like domestic. So sometimes there's specific requirements for your product. We can let you know what they are so your supplier will comply. We can provide you with alternatives in sourcing, uh, tariff classification alternatives. If you modify what you purchase, sometimes you can have substantial savings in tariff. And then there's some special programs where you can import scientific merchandise duty free. That could be used when you're really looking at something super special and high value. Another suggestion we would make is, try to minimize purchases outside of whatever your official procurement process is. We are seeing a lot of professors ordering things on the internet and then charging them on their P card and having them come in. And again, we're happy to clear those shipments and help in any way, but sometimes the people who are doing that may not realize that they're incurring additional costs. And so if you can encourage the departments to minimize, internet shopping and work through your official process, then I think costs will be more clear up front for the university. And then lastly, there's very few legal ways to avoid duty. So one option would be to offset costs wherever possible. So number one is look at your sourcing and try to find some domestic vendors, domestic manufacturers. If not domestic manufacturers, try to avoid China if you can, just because of the potential duty costs. And then another opportunity is to consolidate and to bundle your orders. Some departments do purchase routinely from overseas, and if they can bundle their shipments into something once a week, um, instead of, shipping or having them shipped by purchase order, that will save substantially. It will save on your shipping costs. It will save on customs clearance costs. It will save on some of the taxes that apply to imports. And it's also just gives you a nice smooth process if you do that. Makes things routine. You can anticipate every week on Wednesday you're getting your shipment from Aaron Chemical or whoever it may be, and you're saving money at the same time. And this is really my last slide. It gives you my cell phone number, my personal work email, Jackie's cell, Terry Roney's cell. We are all here to assist you, and we want to hear from you. And again, we're thrilled to be working with the university, and we hope you find this information helpful, and we encourage you to reach out to us at any time.
Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate all the information.
I know
And I
that was a
don't-
whirlwind. I'm so sorry with a half an hour to
Lots
cover a
of
big topic.
information. But thank you.
Okay.
And let's see, I don't have any questions in the chat
Okay,
right now. Is it possible to share the slides you presented today?
absolutely.
And I think Bernadette has those, and Bernadette, I think those will be shared. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well, that has our contact details. And again, please just reach out, let us know about your shipments, and come to us with your questions and problems.
Okay. Thank you again, Lauren. And right now we are scheduled to take a very short break. So just a quick 5-minute break. So please be back I'm showing 1 minute after 2. So 2:06, we will reconvene. So we had a last minute change for our next presentation. Just a heads up that there will be an updated agenda added to the meeting request. So you'll have that for your records. And we will now hear from our final presenter today, and the Office of Procurement Diversity will introduce Solutions Cleaning Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. My name is Nadia Torrance. I am the Business Operations Specialist for the Office of Procurement Diversity. And today we have invited Liliana Aguilera, she's the president and owner for Solutions Cleaning Services. And I will hand over the mic for her to speak. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Sorry, let me just take my dog out of the office because he's just, I'm so sorry about that. I have my dog here working with me today, and he happened to wanted to introduce himself as well. Thank you, and I appreciate the invite to present in this important meeting. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm the president and owner of Solutions Cleaning Services. I'm certified with the City of Chicago as an MBE, WBE, and also with the Illinois Department of Transportation. And we provide cleaning services. We're a full service cleaning company. Yes, overview about my business. I started my business in 2013. Like I mentioned before, I'm a full stop service cleaning company specializing in post-construction cleaning. We also do janitorial cleaning. We provide services in the private and public sector. So we do clean religious institutions, schools, medical offices, working with project managers, developers, and any business in the Chicagoland area. You can. Yes, my mission is to provide high quality cleaning, industrial cleaning, and to businesses of all sizes and budgets. So we've been growing and expanding our service areas to be diversified and create a new understanding of like the cleaning and how to customize plans for each buildings. So we're looking forward to continue growing, expanding, especially in the private and public sectors. A little bit about me. I live in the northwest suburbs of Roselle, in Chicago. We're foodies. We like traveling. I like gardening, and as you can hear before, my little dog works with me here in the office as well. I came here when I was 18 years old from Colombia, South America, with very basic communication skills, with a dream to study and look for opportunities. I, went to public school and to a community college where I learned English, and I took business classes, and I was always eager to be a business owner, to become a business owner. And finally, my dream came true in 2013, when after working in many different places, I work in restaurants, I work in as a babysitter, I work, I move up, and through learning and educating myself, I was able to land a job as an administrative assistant, where I learned how to manage a business and scale up, continue learning with new skills, and was able finally in 2013, using my networking and connections, opened my business and my cleaning business. I have participated in many cohorts as part of my development and education. I have done, my first cohort was with the Women's Business Development, a 12-week business program training. And from there, I have just, keep learning and, also teaching my crews everything that I learned. I done also cohorts with the city City College of Chicago. I completed 10,000 K with Goldman Sachs, with also was a business program in 2018. Did HACIA, Hispanic American Construction, did a business accelerator program. So learning is big for me because I can, everything that I learn, I can spread the word to my workers, to my team here. And also I use this as a, to help continue growing my business. I have a lot of people to help me through my journey, and I have partnered up with colleges, with education, with the community, with people that have provided me help. Some of my partners were Innovation DuPage, College of DuPage, just many educational institutions that have continually provide me with workshops and with networking opportunities that have increased our growth through the years. I've been part of the community as a business owner. I love to contribute to and give back. I'm part of the Chamber Business Association, part of the Bloomingdale Chamber of Commerce. I'm also in the Bloomingdale area Women's in Business. I volunteer for my kids' high school when they were in high school. And recently I was also a DACA judge for the high school. I collaborate with a lot of other businesses in town, and I'm looking, forward to continue partnering with people in charity events and donating my time, so other businesses can also partner with me and learn from what I'm doing and maybe continue doing the same thing. Here's a picture of my husband, who is an estimator. And also my daughters, who the oldest one is a U of I alumna. She graduated 4 years ago. My youngest one is a junior also at U of I, and I'm so proud of them because they work in my business as well. Since they were little, they help me. My husband is an estimator. He does a lot of things for the company. He, also oversees our team. We started with 4 people. Right now we're 15, and our busiest time we have hired up to 22 employees. Again, all our employees are W-2 employees. We are contributing and giving back to the community, and hoping to gain more connections, especially through these meetings and networking. I would love the opportunity to work with any person that has any building size from 1,000 to 400,000 square feet. We do, like I said before, we're a full service cleaning company, and I'm looking for new opportunities.
Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction to Solution Cleaning Services. We are close to the end of our meeting time, so I would like to quickly thank all of our presenters today for the great information that was presented, and also a thank you to all of the participants for coming today. We appreciate your time and hope that you found the information useful. As always, please feel free to reach out to University Outreach with any questions. We are here to help. Just a reminder that our next meeting, I don't think we have finalized the date yet, but we do know that it will be in May. And it will be our final meeting before summer break. So we hope to see you all at our next meeting in May. And thanks again, and have a good day, everyone.